Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy Jonathan Macri with you for, I guess, a little bonus midweek episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We are in the thick of our 25 for 25 series where we're counting down the best Knicks or the top Knicks. I think that's the official word that we settled on. Top, not best, not greatest. Top Knicks of the last 25 seasons. But you know what? We are a full service operation here, and there is no such thing as vacation at Knicks Film School. So, what happened a few days ago? Guerschon Yabusele, the newest Knick. He's still the newest Knick because they still haven't signed anybody to their remaining roster spots. That's kind of funny at this point. But yeah, so he's the newest Knick, and he had himself quite a game, for Eurobasket, or in Eurobasket for Team France, I should say. So I'm like, you know what? I want to get someone on the pod who kind of knows a little bit more about Eurobasket and Guerschon. So I went and found first time guest here on the pod, Pijus Sapetka, who writes for BasketNews. He is covering Team France's group in Eurobasket, and so he's been covering their games in person. He's been attending all the press conferences. He actually just attended Luka Doncic's press conference shortly before he came on to record his segment. So he came on to give his insights. And as a bonus, he actually covered Yabusele when he was playing for Real Madrid, which is where he was playing immediately before he came to Philadelphia. So had some really good insights. We got into some positional stuff about where Yabusele prefers to play, the 4 or the 5, like his role on Team France, how important this is for him kind of stepping foot into something of a new role with Team France. So stay tuned. That interview is coming up in just a few minutes. But there's a couple other things that I figured, hey, I'm doing a Yabusele pod. I might as well hit on a couple other topics. Before we get there, though, a reminder, as I've been trying to do more and more at the top of these episodes, give Knicks Film School a follow on all of your social media platforms at Knick Film School. That is SKOOL. And also give me a follow. That's the thing I keep forgetting. I'm making this effort to become more, like a modern podcast host, and I keep forgetting to promote my own stuff. So if you're not following me, follow me. I'm at JC Macri NBA on everything. I've been trying to, I don't know, it's not a New Year's resolution, a new basketball season resolution, maybe, to post something on Instagram every day. So I'm 2 days in. I'm 2 for 2. So, follow me on Instagram. See if I keep up with that. Again, at JC Macri NBA. Okay. Enough shamelessness. The 2 stories that I want to get to, let's see, what order should we do these in? Let's do the Julius thing first, then we'll save the Kawhi thing for a few minutes from now. So, Julius Randle, and I'll say up front, this came out in a story in which he was discussing his mental health, and just as a person in the world, 1, but 2, as a person whose wife is a mental health counselor, I appreciate it whenever somebody comes forward and is open and forthcoming about either their mental health struggles or just their interaction with their own mental health. And I think as a society we could probably all stand to do that a little bit more. And in any case, so Julius was talking about this, and it's even harder for a professional athlete. So again, I give him a lot of credit. And he said something changed in his routine once he got traded to Minnesota, and that's it. He stopped smoking weed. So I saw this, and it's like, at first I'm like, I'm the last person who should be commenting on this because I don't smoke weed. Tried it a few times in college. Could probably count on 2 hands, certainly. I don't even, with fingers to spare, the amount of times that I have smoked weed, which is, shout out to Cornbread, that's different. But like smoked weed in my life. So I'm probably not the best person to be talking about it. And I'm not going to comment on that aspect of it. But I found it interesting because for years, I get on post games and other people here at Knicks Film School would talk about Julius, and people around the NBA who weren't even like covering or talking primarily about the Knicks would talk about Julius Randle, and like he was always just like such an interesting guy to talk about because he was this immensely talented player, and yet you would have these wild fluctuations in his play, or at least what I perceive to be wild fluctuations in his play, and there was really no rhyme or reason for it. And and I'm just like saying again from exactly what he said. He talked about he quit weed because he wanted to have a clear mind, didn't want to be influenced by anything, and that smoking weed made him distant, made him, not present. And he used the words, he would kind of be in his own world. Shout out to New York Basketball, the great Twitter account, for getting those quotes. And I got to say, seeing this story made me feel a little bit like less of a crazy person, because for years I'd watch him and I'd be like, and I'd fight the urge to critique him. And then at times I would give in to that urge to critique him, often involving props. Shout out to Paper Plate. And like, but I would always come back to like, man, is it just like, am I giving in to all the conversation? Am I giving in to pressure to be critical? And then I'd watch him and I'd be like, man, again, it wasn't that he would just like, everybody has bad games and stuff, but there would be these stretches where, again, to just use Julius's own words, he'd be in his own world and he would seem distant and he would seem not fully present. Now, obviously, and he didn't get into it, the details on the interview, we don't know how often, he did or did not smoke, or like when in relation, like who knows, maybe he only smoked during the off season. Maybe he didn't smoke at all. And maybe this is me doing the same thing that I'm like trying to forgive myself for doing in the first place, and giving in to the temptation to say something without really having all the facts. And if that's the case, well, what can I say? I'm sorry, but I don't know. It made it all make more sense. Am I going to sit here and be mad at Julius for no, I'm not going to do that, man. Like, everybody has their own vices, and I don't for what it's worth, I don't even consider smoking weed a vice, and everybody has their own ways of dealing with stuff and the whole thing. But like, I don't know. Again, it made me feel like, okay, now at least I could maybe sleep a little bit easier at night, especially Julius just went out and had, maybe not the best season of his career. He made 2 All-NBA teams when he was here in New York, which is the other part of this story. For as much as we critiqued him, he also came through and was like a big-time player on, for big games and for long stretches of games. But last season, I think we saw the most sustainable version of Julius Randle if you are trying to build a team that competes for a championship. And again, that for me, that may like because and we've even done it throughout the summer where we've talked about like players that used to be on the team and what role they would have on the current team. When in the back of my mind, when I'm like, oh, I would love to have this guy on the current Knicks team or that guy on the current Knicks team, and Julius always pops up, and I'm like, well, there was the version of Julius that we saw when we were here, but then there's the version of Julius that was last season with the Timberwolves, and like that guy was a little bit more steady and consistent, and so. It is what it is, and we could just move on. Second, before we get to the conversation about Guerschon Yabusele, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard in a story, shout out to Pablo Torre on Pablo's show. Pablo Torre Finds Out, friend of the pod, Pablo Torre, I should say, did what, all good Regis boys are taught to do. And that is shout out to the 8 people who got that reference. He did the digging, he did the work, and he uncovered this through and I'm not gonna, if anybody wants the details, go watch there's like a 4.5 minute video from the much larger pod and video that Pablo did in regards to this story that is floating around on Twitter. All the aggregation sites have it, in which it pretty much lays it out. But in short, Pablo went, did some digging, found documentation, made some phone calls, interviewed a bunch of people, got some people to go on record, got one person to agree to be, videoed and have that conversation recorded, albeit with like a voice buffer, and found out that it seems as if Kawhi Leonard was paid $28 million under the table for something that he didn't do, basically to be, to endorse a tree planting company. And that this, as Pablo goes into, and I'm not going to try to rephrase, like go watch the video. It's awesome. And go subscribe to Pablo and listen to everything he does. But this all leads back to Steve Ballmer, who's the owner of the Clippers. And, there is the source that he got to go on record and on video used the words circumvent the salary cap, and again, this is a person who worked at the company and who has intimate knowledge of like what they were doing. And then when this person went digging, those are the words that he was told, that this was to circumvent the salary cap. And I felt the need to comment on this, even though this is not a Knicks story, because this feels like it has the chance to be the biggest NBA story since I mean, like all the last major NBA story involving the Clippers, which was when Donald Sterling was forced to sell the team, and they made a freaking miniseries out of it. Like, it feels that big. And somebody texted me earlier today, and they're like, do you think this is something that gets swept under the rug, or do you think that this like Adam Silver goes like full bore with this thing? And my gut reaction was to say that the NBA will look, again, this is my 2 cents. Who the hell knows? The NBA will look for a reason to not have this become a thing. One, because it's a bad look for the league. 2, unlike Donald Sterling, Steve Ballmer is, by all accounts, a good owner. Now, your opinion of what kind of owner he is may change, or governor, I should say, team governor, may change with this news. But like, he has a lot of money. Like, he's completely changed the image of the Clippers, like new arena, the whole thing. Whereas Sterling was a, piece of human garbage. So, but then the biggest reason I think the NBA will, again, I'm sure they have to do their due diligence, but I think it would be in their best interest to maybe not find any smoking gun here, because if they did, well, where does it end? Do they need to then, who the hell, do they create a committee to look into all NBA contracts or all NBA players that have signed with teams and see is like there anything going on under the table? Like, it is very much to me in the same vein, in the same line as tampering, which is that like with tampering, everybody does it. Everybody knows everybody does it. And you have to flaunt it. And the Knicks a couple of years ago, in the estimation of the NBA, flaunted it. And what did the NBA do? They stripped them of, I think, what was it, a couple second round picks? So, like, the NBA has already, Brian Windhorst always says, actions over words. The NBA has already shown by their actions that if there is something that they could, like, not, like, the NBA had a chance if they wanted to over the years, many chances to dig into the tampering stuff and make sure the teams didn't do it. They didn't want to do it. To me, this kind of falls in the same category, again, under the assumption that stuff like this goes on. And if you start prying open the lid a little bit, where is it going to stop? And I don't know. Now, the flip side of that coin is maybe this doesn't go on. maybe all the other team governors are a bunch of choir boys. Maybe, when Jalen Brunson signed his below market deal last summer that made him, arguably the most underpaid player in the NBA, he was just cool with that amount of money. And there is no, I don't even know what company would be doing the money laundering. Is this money laundering? No, it's probably not money laundering. Funneling? I don't know what it is. I don't know what the proper term is. But maybe there is nothing going into his back pocket, from James Dolan and all that sweet sphere money. Or maybe there is. Like, we don't know. We don't know how common this is. How is this a regular practice? Is it a regular practice, but on a much smaller scale, as a a million here, a million there, as opposed to, in this instance, like many millions of dollars? I don't know, but I feel like the answer to that question is going to determine how big of a story this becomes. Because if Ballmer really did, go outside the bounds of accepted practice, either because this isn't done at all, or if it's done to a much lower degree. I don't know. Maybe the rest of the, people who run these teams are going to look at this and be like, fuck that. Like this guy's already spending out the nose. And he has the money to do it. Like, what, let's try to get him. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious though. It feels like this is like, again, just the beginning, and who the hell knows where things are going to go from there. But again, maybe it's a story that kind of quietly goes away. I'm very, very interested to see what happens over the next couple days. And I will just leave it at that for now. Okay. I think that's it for me. Let us get to my conversation with Pijus Sapetka of BasketNews to talk about the captain of Team Franhce, Guerschon Yabusele. Quick break to tell you about America's first ever USDA organic THC gummy. You know the words. Shout out to Cornbread. Yes, Cornbread, the source of your healthy happy hour. It's a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. Well, how do they achieve that balance? My favorite thing about Cornbread is it's just the right amount for me as someone who is not a regular user of these sorts of products, but still wants to get that relaxation without feeling anxious or paranoid like some other cannabis edibles, which is why Cornbread's 1-to-1 THC to CBD ratio is perfect for me. They have 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, which is just the right dose, and it gives me everything I need without any of the stuff that I don't want. If you are looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They have created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that is 100% legal. As a special offer to Knicks Film School listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/KFS and use promo code KFS at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/KFS and use code KFS for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. Joining me now on the Knicks Film School podcast, someone who is coming to us as a first-time guest from halfway around the world. He is covering Eurobasket for BasketNews, and even more specifically, he is covering the group that Team Franhce is playing in, and of course that means he's covering one Guerschon Yabusele, I should probably get the pronunciation of his name correct, for Team Franhce. So Yabu obviously had a game in which he blew up the other day and had his best game with the national team. So I'm here to talk about it. Pijus Sapetka, again, of BasketNews. How you doing, man?
It's good. Thank you for having me. It's a big pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So I should say up front that you predominantly cover European basketball. So Eurobasket and like the Olympics, this is kind of your wheelhouse, the things that you normally do, right?
Yeah, it's all. I'm also covering EuroLeague throughout the season, where Yabusele played, like for Real Madrid, and won the championship here. So yeah, I'm familiar with him and like other Europeans and not Europeans playing in the NBA.
So like Eurobasket, I feel like is a thing that because America does not, obviously they don't play in Eurobasket because it's Eurobasket. It maybe doesn't get the most attention here in America. So like before we get into Yabusele and Team Franhce specifically, could you just kind of like, take me a little bit inside, like how big of a deal is this to these countries, to the players on these teams? Like obviously the Olympics is number one, but like how close does this rank in terms of how much these guys care?
Okay, I think if Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or Luka Doncic are all in the tournament, like we care, we really care. And for American like audience, it's just about them, but for us, it's about more players who are coming not only from the NBA, but from our European leagues like EuroLeague, Eurocup, and BCL. So it's a big deal for them, especially for them, because NBA players are used to the big stage, and this is one of the biggest stages in international basketball. So yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I'm just thinking over the years, there have been certain international basketball competitions which may be like a Jokic or a Giannis or a Luka, did not participate in. And as you just said, they're all participating in this, along with like a laundry list of NBA players. I'm looking at Team Franhce alone, and they have 6, it looks like, current NBA players, along with the rest of their roster is filled out with guys who played in the NBA at one point in time. So as we transition to Yabusele, and again, you covered the game that he played against Poland, and he scored 36 points and hit 6 threes the other day. Are they... Where do they rank? Like, are they the favorite in this tournament? Are they among the favorites in this tournament? How would you have them stacking up?
I think we are among the favorites because currently I think Germany is the best team in the whole tournament. The second is Serbia, but we just lost Bogdan Bogdanovic, so their chances are a bit stumbling. But I think Nikola has it in his own pocket, so maybe France is third, fourth, something like this. Yeah.
And then so here's the real question. I think like I, for one, am most curious about, because like, you see obviously the game he put up. It seems like he is Team France's, at least on this team, he is their best player. And I'll just say, for anybody who may not be familiar with the roster, they also have Bilal Coulibaly, who plays for the Washington Wizards. They have Ousmane Dieng, actually a guy who could have been or was technically a Knicks pick before the Thunder traded for it. Zachary Risacher, who was the number 1 pick in the draft. Alex Sarr, who was the number 2 pick in the draft. And then a few other guys. Is it like, I don't want to say, is it Yabu's team, but is he like the number 1 guy on this roster?
But I think we can say it's Yabu's team because he is the captain now.
Okay.
He's showing his leadership, like his voice is very heard. But in the first 3 games, like he was a bit struggling. Like he scored, I think, 6, 7, and 11 points. And one of his teammates after the last game against Poland, where he erupted for 36, said that, like we talked with Yabu, but he needs to get a little bit more ball in the game. Okay. And he scored 36. So I think we made adjustments, and now it should be okay for Team France and for Yab moving forward. I think
Yeah, sorry. So like it'll be an adjustment for him. Yeah, no. So like what I was gonna say is, it feels like, because you said adjustment. This is a team obviously in the Olympics that had Wemby, it had Gobert, like guys that have. Well, Wemby's kind of new to it, but like, Evan Fournier, guys who have been on this stage for years, if not like over a decade. Do you think that taking on the role of captain of Team France was something that well, it sounds like you're saying it took maybe Yabusele a little bit of time to get used to it?
Yeah, I think so. But like he had great examples of leadership before, like Nando De Colo, Nicolas Batum. But we retired from international player last summer after Paris Olympics, and like he became the main guy here. And also, like you said, Rudy Gobert and Evan Fournier is missing, so he's now a voice of the locker room and like the centerpiece of the whole team.
It's interesting because so he signed with the Knicks obviously this summer after what was, I don't want to say it was a surprising, season in Philadelphia, but I know for me, just speaking as an NBA fan, coming off the Olympics, I didn't really know what to expect because we've seen guys perform on like the international stage before and perform at a high level. Like you mentioned Team Germany before. Dennis Schroeder is like, he's kind of like an international legend at this point with what he's done in the Olympics. And as an NBA player, he's always kind of been like a level down. Like, so Yabusele has this year in Philly. From your perspective, and again, having covered him with Real Madrid and seen him play for a while, do you think like there is a chance that he is just now coming into his own as a basketball player, which is to say, like, I understand he's on the verge of turning 30, but maybe it just took him a little longer to figure it out?
Maybe, yeah. I think he's now in his prime, and I think he will be a good fit for the Knicks. Like maybe alongside Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robbins, he can stretch the floor. Like I think his leadership is now grown with the French national team, so his voice should also be heard here. I think, yeah, he's stepping into that new role.
I don't know if this is getting too much into the weeds here. You mentioned playing alongside Karl-Anthony Towns and playing alongside Mitchell Robinson. Do you know it? Does he want to play center, or is he more comfortable playing alongside another big man?
I think he's more comfortable playing in a power forward position because even now, like France is struggling and they don't have centers. Like their center, Alex Sarr, just got ruled out for the whole Eurobasket due to a calf injury. And we are left with one real center, Mam Tech, but the coach Futu is still putting Yabusele on a fourth position and letting like another Jalen Hort to play at the 5 to put Yabu at 4.
Do you think it's? I don't know if I'm going too deep here, but do you think that's because Yabusele doesn't want to, or maybe isn't as comfortable defending opposing centers, or do you think it more has to do with like the offensive end of the floor? Or do you just think it's just like he's more comfortable there?
I think he can also play at the 5, but maybe his lack of size is a bit concerning for him.
Okay,
especially like a big guys, because like in European international basketball, usually teams have those like 2 meters 10 centimeters guys. I don't know how to measure that in
big guys. Big guys is fine.
Yeah, who are protecting the paint. Yeah, so maybe he can attack them in the like on the offensive end with his pick and pops, but maybe he will struggle in the paint against them. So yeah, maybe he's comfortable in the power forward position where he can play a bully ball against others.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting, and it's one of the questions that I know Knick fans, or at least I have about this team, is about like, because they have, as you said, Towns and they have Mitch, so you would figure if both of those guys are healthy, Yabusele is probably going to be playing mostly at the 4. But I know, like, for my, just observation last year of him in Philly, he was like, at least on offense, and that was not a good basketball team, but when he was playing the 5 on offense, they were incredibly effective. So that's why I was kind of curious what his, maybe his comfort level is. So take me again going back to Eurobasket for a second. Team France is already in the round of 16, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Does their game that they play, I know they play, we're recording this on Wednesday. I know they play tomorrow morning. Does that game matter as for seeding purposes, or are they already?
Yeah, a lot.
It matters. So can you tell me what difference it'll make?
Like, we need to definitely win that game and to hope that Slovenia beats Israel and then we finish first. And because if Israel wins against Slovenia, then we are likely to finish third and we get a much stronger opponent in the second round.
I got it. Is there a team that, I mean, you mentioned, Jokic and that crew over there and Germany. Is there a team that you think France matches up particularly well against that they might see in the round of 16 or maybe even like past the first round? And is there a team that you think Team France is trying to avoid for as long as possible if they could?
I know it's hard to say because it's a very young team. France is the youngest team in the whole Eurobasket. Like, their average is 25.4 years of old.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
So it's very young. And if we go to the round of 16, we are sure going to the round of 16, but we can meet here either Italy, Greece, Spain, Georgia, or Bosnia. So I think we are definitely need to avoid Greece and maybe Italy. I don't know. Greece is dangerous.
I was about to say, I would imagine that a Giannis Yabusele matchup would generate some interest here, at the very least in New York, considering that Giannis's name is, I don't want to say it's in the news, but everybody's always kind of wondering about what Giannis is going to do, or if he's going to, want to get out of Milwaukee. I'm curious from your perspective over on the other side of the pond. Do you guys pay a lot of attention to that stuff when NBA players might demand a trade, or maybe they'll demand a trade, or is it just it doesn't really catch on over there?
Yeah, of course. We are writing the news citing you guys. So yeah, keeping a pulse on that for sure.
Based on what you heard from your end, do you think? Giannis, I don't want to say he's kind of a mystery, but he's a little bit of a mystery to me. Do you think he's the type of guy who would want to stay in Milwaukee even if they're not maybe a contending team moving forward? Or do you think he would maybe try to ask his way out?
I know. I mean, Sham said that he's exploring something.
He's always exploring, right? He's always thinking.
I think he should play in a bigger market like Luka. It's better for the whole media perspective.
That was the other non Yabusele question I wanted to ask you. Is Luka as skinny as it seems like he is in the pictures?
Yes. Yeah, I can confirm it. Because I saw him in Slovenia last summer, and he was a much bulkier compared to now.
Yeah, no, we were emailing before, and you were saying that you couldn't do this pod until a little bit later in the afternoon because you had a press conference with Luka. Does he? What's his mindset, do you think? Obviously his mindset in Eurobasket is incredibly serious. He's a killer. He wants to win. But do you sense any kind of a change in him from years maybe in the past when he was with the Mavs?
I couldn't say that. His teammate said that he wants to win every time. It doesn't matter what it's cards game, video game, basketball game. He always wants to win. So maybe that's one thing about him, and obviously his body transformation, how he looks now.
Body transformation, man. Good job. Good job by Dallas. Okay. I can tell it's getting dark where you are. So you've had a long day. So just one more before I let you go regarding Yabusele. I don't know, this may be not a fair question, but for him personally, for his growth as a player, and obviously his position on Team France moving forward, again, with the caveat that like Wembanyama in like Olympics going forward, like he's going to be on the team, and like, you know, Sarr is going to get better, and Reece Shea is going to get better. How important do you think the next week is for Yabusele, for him, maybe his personality? Like, do you think he needs it, or it would help him a lot, like his confidence or anything along those lines, for him to go out there and maybe, you know, knock off a favored team in the round of 16 or something like that?
I think it's important for him to like establish himself as a true national team leader now, after those guys who retired from a national team. So like I said, it's his team now and he needs to deliver. So yeah, I think it's better for him to do well in the next week. And maybe it will boost his confidence for next season with the Knicks, and maybe it will help New York to achieve something.
Your lips to God's ears. It's. I don't know if you know this, but we haven't won a championship in 52 years. So
yeah, I know.
It would be nice if Yabusele and everybody else on the team maybe ended that streak at some point. You know, before I perish. Pijus, this has been great. I really appreciate you hopping on. Again, you're in, you know, going to Luka Doncic press conferences and covering these games in person. So to take the time to do this. Before I let you go, where can folks find you? Where can they read you? You know, social media, anything you want to plug or promote?
Yeah, you can find me on basketnews.com and just follow us. And because we have one guy each in every host city, so we provide like unique content, and you can find it here.
Yeah, I should have said at the top that you are actually in Poland. Is there a possibility that you will have to travel from Poland to like another country, or you're like stationed in Poland for the rest of the time?
No, I'm just working in my group stage. My colleagues are going to the final phase.
Okay, gotcha. Well, maybe I should know this. Eurobasket is every how many years?
Every 4.
Every 4. Oh, so it's just the same as the Olympics. Okay, yeah. So this is a pretty big deal. Well, thank you again for the time. Again, everybody go check Pijus's writing out. We'll tag your Twitter link, so like I know all, and everything else where people could find your writing. I appreciate you taking the time. Everybody out there, thanks for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We'll be back with more fun and games before you know it. Peace out.